Hello, today De Niro and I are off to explore Scotland's historic capital and the burial place for its kings and queens. Yep, today we are going to Dunfermline, as I said, burial place of kings and queens, and a really interesting place to visit, lots of history and lots of pretty things to look at. Why not come with us? Dunfermline is located in central Scotland, just over the River Forth from Edinburgh, and if you're arriving by train from the south, you'll come over this bridge that some of you might recognise. This protocol is Pittencrieff Park because it's a park and he is a dog. This is quite a good park, I think you'll like it. There's lots of things here to see, so let's go for a wee look. This park was given to the town by the world's richest man at the time, Andrew Carnegie, but we don't know a great deal about him or about the park, so we're going to try and top up our knowledge on both of those things today. You might think that we're just winging this, and as usual, you'd be absolutely correct. When we first brought De Niro here, he got to this point and just about froze because you could hear the sound of children. He's not a big fan of children, and there's the children's play park over there. Today, he does not seem quite so bothered. He's just out looking for squirrels. Although, to be fair, I think the squirrels would just sit up in the trees and laugh at his flappy ears. Flap, 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 flap. This park is famous for its peacocks, which I think are a bit like Loch Ness is famous for its monster, because I know there are peacocks here, but I've never actually seen any. Bex actually remembers when the peacocks used to walk about the park, and indeed they used to walk up into the town. They've got the freedom of the town, so they can go anywhere they want, which doesn't seem like a great idea with dogs about, but hey ho, I'm sure a peacock can look after itself. It's one of these parks that is very, very well used and very, very well kept. There's still some big buildings in it. It's a really nice cafe. There's all sorts of facilities. It's a great place to come to fill a few hours on a sunny day, which today, to be fair, isn't. Well, as De Niro is so interested in this, we'll show you this building next. That is very small and not very exciting unless you're into telephones, because that's a 1928 telephone kiosk for public telephone. If anyone remembers the days before mobile phones when public telephones actually exists. Kids, ask your parents. But then I've seen the demographic on the YouTube stats for our viewers, and I don't think there's many kids watching. If you are, hello. This is quite nice. This is the formal garden where you can come for a bit of peace and quiet if that dog over there ever shuts up. And these are glass houses that replaced ones that were originally built in 1913. I think these ones date back to the 1970s, but they're really nice in the summer. They have lots of nice flowers in them, obviously. I would take you in and show you some of the pretty flowers, but unfortunately no dogs except guide dogs. That's a shame, because I'm pretty sure he'd love to get in there. De Niro is a big fan of getting in places, even if he doesn't know what that place actually is. It's definitely getting into spring and summertime now. If Bex was here, she could tell you what those flowers actually are. I have no idea. They are pink. Those are pink flowers. And after that piece of in-depth botany, we're now going to go for a look at the Glen. And if you want to know what a Glen is, well, that'll be time for our word of the day. Now, the Glen is one of these things that people with money built on their estate. This is designed to look like a wee Scottish glen, which is funny because it actually is a wee Scottish glen, but it's all been landscaped. It's really nice. I'm gibbering now. Let's go for a wee look and you'll see what I mean. So this is the stairs that go down into the Glen, which is very nice. As you can see, it's got a little river running through it, and it's got a little well, and it's all very pretty. And De Niro loves it because it's got lots and lots of different smells. They do like building things that looked like ruins, so I don't know if that was built to be a bit ruinous or if that has fallen down recently, but I think that was probably built to look like that. To make it look ruined, to make it look like ancient Greece seemed to be a big thing, or ancient Egypt, or whatever the fashion of the particular day when it was built was. Although it's all quiet and peaceful now, this was once a big industrial area, and there were 3 mills here actually powered by that river. One produced flour, one produced meal, and the third one produced snuff, which must have been quite a big industry. All long gone now, but pretty cool to know that once there was bustling industry in what is now a little green and pleasant bit of land. And up there above where the mills are is the wall of the palace. Now we're going to go and have a look at the palace, but we're going to put De Niro back in the van first, because I don't think dogs will be allowed, and they'd probably do something embarrassing on the grave of King Robert the Bruce. It's a really nice wee maze of paths and stairways and all that sort of gubbins. It's really smart. We are quite liking it. And as you can see, De Niro is off trying to pull me head first down the stairs. De Niro, stop pulling. People will think you're a bad doggy. Yeah, more peacock symbolism, not any actual peacocks. Oh, our little explorer has come to a bit of a quandary. Do we go along that way Do we go along that way or do we go up there? Now I know that the ruins of the Abbey and the palace are up there, so I think we're going to go up that way and see what we can see with De Niro. Yeah, that's a fairly serious, you're not getting past wall. Okay, we'll head back down and back through the Glen. We appear to have reached a bit of a dead end, but you've got to admit, that is quite an impressive dead end. I don't know what used to be here, obviously it's the remains of a building, but that is quite smart. And there's a wall of something much more modern and much less attractive. I'm doing that thing again where I'm walking uphill and trying to do this at the same time and getting out of breath. So there you are, there's a big churchy, castle-y, palacey thing. We'll go and look at that in a bit more detail later. Right, can you see the squirrels, Do you know? Because I know there's a squirrel sitting up on this rock up here and you haven't seen it yet because you are a sight hound who cannot see very well. Or maybe you're a sight hound but not a very bright hound. There's obviously no way for you guys to know this, but this place smells amazing. The blossoms and the flowers are really, really pretty and quite strong, so if I start sneezing, that's why. Oh, it's gone. I was going to say, do you see what I see and De Niro hasn't seen? There was a squirrel on the path right in front of him. Really exciting television because it's not there. And oh, it is, he's seen it. I think we are running true to form and getting lost whilst walking about a park in a town. It can't be that big, so we must find something that we recognise soon. What way, De Niro? Down the way or up the way? You decide. Come on, what way are we going? This way. Okay, come on then. Another quite pretty little feature there. Somebody's built a waterfall just because they wanted a waterfall, I imagine. Let's build me a waterfall. Maybe it was something to do with channeling the water when this was all a mill race, but I don't know. And obviously this is Scotland, we're in the middle of nowhere, it's a really nice little place and there is a shopping trolley in the river. If there's not a shopping trolley in the river, is it even a river? This is quite a cool bridge thing because that is AR 1788 and there's a thing up on the top one too that I can't read, but yeah, very interesting. This is pretty cool, this bridge. I have no idea what's under it or over it, or well, under it obviously is us, duh, but I don't know what's over it. We'll maybe go and try and find out. For Mel Gibson fans, that is reputed to be Wallace's well. William Wallace, after the defeat at the Battle of Falkirk, came and hid in Pittencrieff Park, amongst other places, until he was eventually betrayed and executed, as you know from the film. Right, these stairs are definitely going up the way, so I'm hoping it takes us back up into the main park and out of the Glen. Not that the Glen's not very pretty, but there's only so much of that you'll take without going, right, skip. We've made our way up into Dunfermline's historic heart, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put De Niro back in Mabel before we do any exploring, chiefly because of the obvious scope for him embarrassing himself, and me. And it's while we were up here that something truly bizarre happened. Well, that was definitely a first. We were just up outside the Abbey taking some photos and doing a bit of talking to ourselves, and a nice couple walked past and said, "Are you off the Sky Channel?" Oh, it's the first time we recognised by somebody that's seen us on YouTube. I think, as the lady said, they recognised De Niro before they recognised me, so my dog is famous. Oh, there's a squirrel, and there's a greyhound that's seen the squirrel, and there's a squirrel up on that rock. Let's go and see the squirrel, De Niro. He's paying attention to squirrels the same way he pays attention to sheep. Not very much. This is pretty cool. This is a wall of Malcolm Canmore's tower, which dates back to like the 10th century. It's really smart. This is one of the oldest buildings in Dunfermline. It was Malcolm who was King of the Scots around about that time, obviously. And the tower is still the logo of the town, it's still the emblem of the town, and it's also where it gets its motto, something to do with being impregnable fortress. So this is the remains of the tower. Oh, and there's another very popular attraction in this park. It's an old steam train. How cool is that? I keep saying how cool is that? The answer is always going to be very, unless you don't like steam trains, in which case why are you watching this channel? So that's pretty cool. It ties in with the fact that the guys that owned the park used to own the coal mines, and there's actually a road at the bottom of the park that's called the Coal Road to this day, and that was where coal went from the coal fields down to the docks. This little train wasn't part of that. This is from Bilston Glen that you saw if you look at our Roslyn video. We visited Bilston Glen then, and that's where this wee choo-choo came from. That's really nice. We do like that. Although, as an addendum, boo, you can't get onto it because it's all closed off. That'll be many a small boy unhappy, and well, me as well actually. I do like a wee steam train. De Niro, on the other hand, not really fussed about steam traction. Although he is running out of traction himself, we've done quite a lot of walking today. He's getting a bit out of puff. A name that you will hear quite a lot in Dunfermline is the name of Andrew Carnegie. There's the Carnegie Library, the Carnegie Museum, the Carnegie Gates. He gave a lot of stuff to this town. He was a very wealthy man. Made his money in America, I believe, and a lot of it came back to Dunfermline, so the town still owes him a tremendous debt of gratitude. We will be going for a wee look at the Andrew Carnegie Birthplace Museum a wee bit later, so as they say, Stay tuned. And there's the centre of the Andrew Carnegie fetish. That's the statue of the great man himself. He was once a rich and famous gentleman, and now he is a roosting point for seagull. And also a climbing frame for the local youth, obviously. There are lots of school kids here doing some sort of treasure hunt thing with pieces of paper and clipboard, which is good. They're all out and about, but they're also running about and making a lot of noise, and De Niro is on very high alert. He is still not sure about screaming kid. And that is the cafe that is called the Peacock Rooms, and we still haven't seen a peacock. I'm sure there must be one here somewhere because they keep talking about them. It's one of those mythical things that you never actually see. Let's go and find a peacock. Let's make that our mission today. Let's go and find a peacock. This rather tasteful orange building in front of us is Pittencrieff House, so let's go and have a wee look at the history of that. I think it's closed. I don't think you can get into it, but let's see what we can see from the outside. That is really quite nice, isn't it? It must have been a nice house for somebody of very high status. So that is the family shield, obviously. It looks like a big black dog and some horseshoes. And there's the motto, "Praise be God for all his gifts." This is a really impressive building with a really impressive history. And if you're American, you'll like this next bit. One of the owners of this house was a guy called John Forbes, who was born in 1707, and he was the commander of His Majesty's troops in the southern province of North America. And once they got shot at the French, he named the town that he was living in Pittsburgh after his patron, William Pitt the Elder. That's how Pittsburgh got its name. It was named by the man that lived in this house. The house dates back originally to 1610, but it's been extended and expanded and owes the fact that it's still here today to the Andrew Carnegie Trust, who in about 1910 had it all renovated, and it's been looked after ever since. And next to his house, this is another wee memorial to General Forbes, that was gifted by the people of Pittsburgh. This says, and I'll read it out to you because I can, in 1758, at the height of the French and Indian War, British General John Forbes and his troops took on the daunting task to carve a trail over 300 miles long through the Pennsylvania backcountry and take the French Fort de Quesne, I can't speak French, de Quesne, at the forks of the Ohio. I can't say Ohio either. This is not going well. Yeah, I should have just let you guys read that. I made a complete pig's ear of it at least 5 times, and you only saw one of them. Free roaming peacocks and children. Well, we've seen the children, but we haven't seen the peacocks, and I know what we'd rather see, so let's go and see if we can find one of these flaming peacocks. I've just got to prove to you that my ornithological knowledge is no better than my botanical knowledge, because I was walking down there with De Niro and I saw a big bird and I thought, oh, is that a peacock or a peahen? No, it's just a fat pigeon. Sorry, I just size shamed a pigeon. Oh, I thought that was one down there, but it's painted on the side of that building. There are no peacocks here. Just been speaking to a guy about the peacocks, and he's pointed us at the aviary where the peacocks apparently live. Yeah, so there's the picture that we thought was actually a peacock. It's a bit bigger when you get close up. We are quite stupid, and there's a statue that is a bit smaller. But over here, in that cage, there are peacocks. Let's go for a wee look. De Niro's never met a peacock, and the peacocks have never met De Niro. There he is, behind bars. That is definitely a peacock. We have seen a peacock. Are you going to put your tail up for us? Oh. No, he's just having a stretch. Oh, I thought you were going to show off there, you big peacock. Hello, how are you, Mr. Peacock? And there's De Niro, who is not quite sure what this big birdie thing is, but I don't think he's going to try and chase it. He looks more scared of the peacock than he's got any right to be. It's only a peacock. Oh, the peacock is squaring up to the greyhound, and the greyhound is not sure what to do. That's an interesting view of the old and the new. Pittencrieff House in the distance, and the big moderner building here. Yes, I heard me say moderner as well. I meant more modern, but you knew that. So we're going to find out about Andrew Carnegie, and this is a good place to start. This is the Andrew Carnegie Birthplace Museum, which is free to get in, and it's got its own car parking. So if you want to come and visit it, you can get parked outside. This is going to be quite interesting, I think. Right, so we've just had a wee introductory talk, and now we're going through into Andrew Carnegie's cottage, which is going to be quite interesting. This is, I'm really looking forward to this, as you can probably tell. Yeah, and amongst all the old pottery, there is a rabbit in there. I have no idea why. I have to find out why there's a stuffed rabbit in that display cabinet. And there's me. Hello! And on this rather grand long case clock, there's another one. There are rabbits dotted about here. There's got to be a story behind that, which we will find. And now this is the sort of loom that they would have loomed on, and there on that window is another oh, hang on. Alright, there's the story. It's Andrew Carnegie's first business venture was getting his friends to look after his rabbits, in return for which he would name a rabbit after the friend. That's what you call good business sense. So it would have looked a bit more crowded than this when it was actually in use, when the Carnegies were living upstairs, because there was two families living here and each had its own loom and they did their own weaving, which is difficult to imagine in a small space like this. Right, so we're now going up to the birthplace room, up a wee flight of stairs past the sink, which is down there for some reason. Anyway, up we go, a flight of stairs. We've been up flights of stairs before. We usually speed this bit up to make us look like we're dead professional, but we might not bother. There is a spinning wheel and there is a room with clothes in it. And this is the room where Andrew Carnegie was born on the 25th of November 1835. If you're wondering how I know that, I'm reading it from that sign, but by now you've probably guessed. So it's not a very big cottage, but the whole family would have lived in this room and the loom was downstairs, so they'd worked and played and everything in the same building. And there's what would have been a little storeroom, and that's where they did the spinning. And over there's a trapdoor that they used to drop the stuff down to the loom downstairs. And in this room is, this is where Bex is really missing out, because they've got a dressing up box with a top hat. What do you think? Does it suit me? Do I look like some sort of millionaire? I tip my hat to you good people of YouTube. That's a ridiculous hat, I'm sorry, and it doesn't fit, and now I look even more silly than usual. And as is traditional for almost every museum that we visit, there's some actual taxidermy. That is Roland the Norwegian rat. So in 1848, the Carnegie family sold their loom, and a 12-year-old Andrew with his siblings and his parents got from here across to Edinburgh, and then on the Forth and Clyde Canal that you've seen in a Falkirk video, across to Glasgow, and then on a converted whaling ship where conditions would have been pretty horrible. It wasn't much of a luxury cruise, and I don't know what they mean by the phrase captains were sometimes accused of using rations to control the behaviour of their female passengers. Is that just a euphemism? Didn't know that Carnegie played such a large part in the American Civil War and then profited afterwards, because he set up companies that were rebuilding infrastructure that had been destroyed. Steel and iron and all sorts of stuff. This guy made an absolute fortune and he became the richest man in the world. When I retire, I want a job doing this. So I sit there all day with my pet bunny and then say hello to people and make them go eek. We talked about Carnegie giving things to people, and so far there are 2,811 Carnegie libraries across the world. I did not know that it was Carnegie money that set up Sesame workshops, so that's why there are puppets in the corner of the museum. How cool is that? So there you are, that is well worth a visit if you are passing. It's quite a nice wee museum and very informative, very interesting, but we'll not bore you with too much of that. Let's go and find something else to look at. So having had a wee bit of William Wallace history, let's go in search of where most of King Robert the Bruce is buried. Most of, I'll explain that later. Now, we mentioned before that Dunfermline was the burial place for Scotland's kings and queens, and this is where their tombs were. Now, unfortunately, they were almost all completely destroyed during the Protestant Reformation, so we know that people like Queen Margaret and King David were buried here, but we don't know where the tombs are. They are round about this spot somewhere. We read quite an interesting thing inside the church that said they'd been using ground-penetrating radar to try and find if there was any voids under the floor or anywhere where these tombs could have been, and they have some interesting targets. So hopefully, as technology moves forward, one day we'll get the answer to the question, where are the royal bodies? Although it is possible that the bodies of the kings and queens were actually smuggled overseas by the Catholic Church to avoid their destruction. Anyway, this is the nave of the church, and through the back there, that door takes us through into the church itself. That is pretty cool, but if I can't see it very well, that is St Peter, St Paul and St Andrew in the paintings that are still existing on the roof of the nave. Dunfermline Abbey was destroyed during the Protestant Reformation of the 1500s, but part of it lives on as Dunfermline Parish Church, which was built in the 1800s. Now, the fact that this church is built on the site of the old abbey, remember where all the royal burials were, mean that by chance there is one identifiable royal burial in Dunfermline. When the church was being built in the 1800s, workmen broke through into a vault, and in that vault they found an amazing discovery: the body of King Robert the Bruce, King of the Scots and defeater of the English at the Battle of Bannockburn. Yeah, I had to mention that. That's probably the thing that he is most famous for. It's amazing that although his tomb was completely smashed up and they found fragments of it, his body survived. Well, apart from his heart, which isn't actually buried here, it's actually buried in Melrose, but that's a story for another day. If you want an idea of what Robert the Bruce's original tomb would have looked like before it was all smashed up in the Reformation, well, here you are. Here's a reconstruction based on fragments that were found when they were building the new church. So that was quite special, wasn't it? That is the tomb of one of our heroes, one of our greatest ever national kings, and now we're going to head back out the nave and back into the daylight. So, yeah, it's like Rosslyn Chapel, but on a massive scale. The big buttresses and the walkways and stuff. It's really cool. And if you look up there at the top, around the top of the turret up there, it's got King Robert the Bruce written around it. But I'll have to walk all the way around for you to see it, or you can just take my word for it. There you are. That says King and that says Robert. You can guess what the other two sides say. One will say the and one will say Bruce, and that is the church there. That is such a cool old building, and over there is what would have been part of the complex once upon a time, which is now just this rather impressive and rather imposing wall. So we'll go over there for a wee look at that and see what we can see. Rosslyn gets all the hype, but this is not far off being as cool in terms of carving and in terms of how it looks. This is a really, really impressive building. I can honestly say the last time I was here was with the school, so you can imagine how long ago that was. Robert the Bruce hadn't been dead that long. So that is obviously quite an old building, but it's not as old as what it's standing on top of, and that is all that remains of St Margaret's Shrine. She was queen, she married King Malcolm III and she died in the 1000s, and this was where her shrine was. They would have had her casket on top of it. Queen Margaret, or Saint Margaret as she's called now, was Scotland's only royal saint. She's to do with childbirth and stuff, and the Scottish royal family, and indeed still the Scottish people, look to her for protection when they are giving birth. And if you believe the local legend, and if you believe what they say on the big boards, part of her still here, because you can go and you can venerate her shoulder blade. Hello to all our new friends who've joined us recently. You'll probably find out we quite like a graveyard, so if you like a graveyard then come along, because we enjoy looking at them and we kinda can't resist. This is yet another graveyard, and it's a very nice one. I've never been down there, but there's a sign that implies that you can actually get onto that floor at some point, but I'm assuming that Historic Scotland have got a lot of things closed off just now because of the risk of falling masonry, and it's really bad for your image if somebody gets killed by a block of medieval masonry, so I'm guessing that's why you can't get out down there in case anything falls off that wall up there. But there's loads of tantalising wee glimpses, like that flight of stairs that go up there. That must have taken you up into a walkway between those walls, but it couldn't have gone very far because those windows go the whole way through the building. No idea, I am just gibbering again. Right, we're going to go and see if this is open and if you can get into it. There's the nave and the abbey that we've seen, and then there's this bit which we're going to go and explore now, and that says to the visitor centre, and we are visitors, so let's go there next. Oh well, there's nobody about, so let's go for a wee look around. This is an Annunciation stone. That was where the Archangel Gabriel told the world that Mary would be the mother of Jesus. Now these were all smashed up during the Protestant Reformation that we mentioned before, but this survived because it was covered up, and it was only uncovered in the 1800s. And that is why it is still here for you to come and have a wee look at. This wee museum bit is really cool. Here's another selection of bits and pieces that used to be outside, but have been brought in to protect them from the wonderful, wonderful Scottish weather. Oh, but as you can predict... okay, we can't go and see whatever's on there. There may be nothing anyway. Don't want to go in there anyway. We've got more important things to see. Okay, we can't go in there, but there's nothing to say. Do not go up these stairs. So let's go up these stairs until we get shouted at. Ta-da, going up the stairs. If you go up these stairs today, you're going to see some stuff, probably. In this corner you have the Historic Scotland Complaints Department. If you'd like to file a complaint, you go and see the gentleman or the lady downstairs, and then they will hit you on the head with an axe. This obviously isn't real. These are props from a film, I think. As you can see the little thing there for the Outlaw King, which is a film about King Robert the Bruce. Quite a few Historic Scotland properties are also used in the filming of Outlander, and if you like Outlander, stay tuned, because in a couple of weeks' time we are going to be showing you our video of a wee adventure we did looking for Outlander locations. And that's about all there is to see in this wee bit, so let's head back down the stairs. But look at this. I always look at these staircases and wonder where they used to go, to a room now long gone. That does look really interesting down there. Unfortunately you can't get into it, and I want to see that sign, because that sign down there says top floor restaurant, but it's too far away for me to read. I wonder if that means that at one point there was obviously at one point there was a floor here, but one of these floors was where the monks ate. I have no idea. I am making that up, as you probably guessed. So that is the end of the Abbey nave. That is really cool, and we've been at the church, we've seen Robert the Bruce's grave, which is also really cool, and the palace is all closed off, so you can't get onto the floor of the palace. But hey ho, it's been a nice wee trip, and now onwards and upwards. I think upwards, yes, we'll head north. So with one last look from down here at the palace and the nave and the church, we are heading back to the van to get De Niro and go and explore something else. This has been a really cool wee visit. This is definitely a place that is worth spending some time. Really quite cool, isn't it? We do, as you know, quite like all this old history, so old history, history is mostly old. Hope you guys are enjoying it as well, because this is a really nice place to visit. It's another day where the weather is also being incredibly kind to us, so we'll make the most of it while it's still blue skies. One last wee look at the ruins of the palace. That is really, really smart. This is the way that you would have entered. That is the pen or the gate that kept the outside out and kept the rich people on the inside. And this is on the little precinct to the palace. This is the town's war memorial, but it's not very well lit because it's got the sun behind it, so that's just a big black imposing shape, but it's quite nice. They've got the usual plaques with all the names of the people from the area who died, and the legend "Their name liveth forevermore" on the bit in front. Okay, so we've seen St Margaret's Shrine, and this is the entrance to St Margaret's Cave, which is, as you can see, closed. Oh dear, here we go again. Now this used to be a cave where she used to come and pray, allegedly, but it was in a valley and the valley was filled in, and so what I'm standing on now is the top of the valley and the cave is like down there somewhere. They built new access because there was an outcry when they started filling it in to build a car park. So they took a site that was a nice wee valley in the middle of the town and they turned it into a really, really pretty car park. So if you want to get in to visit the cave, I've no idea when it's open, there's nothing that says, but there's a wee plaque that just tells you a little bit about St Margaret. And there's a very, very, very locked door. The centre of Dunfermline has got some really, really impressive architecture. I mean, look at that. How cool is that? We will come back and have another closer look at some point in the future, but for now, that's it for our wee visit. And we hope you've enjoyed this trip as much as we have. And if you have enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe and all that gubbins. And lastly, thank you very much to all the people who've supported us on Ko-fi and Patreon. We really, really appreciate it. You've got no idea what it means to us. And we will see you soon for more Scotland on a shoestring. Do we have a mystery?
We have a mystery. My wool's disappeared.
Oh, where's the ball of wool gone that you had? Let's
really
follow this
don't
mysterious
know.
trail. If only we could follow the clues to whoever's stolen the ball of wool. Oh, look! Why have you stolen the ball of wool? You stand accused, or rather lie down accused, of stealing a ball of purple wool. How do you plead? Cute. Okay, you plead cute. We'll let you off then. Don't do it again. Until the next time.